automakers have gotten out of hand, and I'm not talking about car prices, crummy dealerships, or their sleazy sales tactics. I'm talking about features. Automakers everywhere are taking away features that we not only like, need, but also use for the sake of either saving money, increasing profit, or just for the sake of being different. And quite frankly, I think we're all tired of it. Now, I did get inspired to make this video from Drew Gooden, who made a video titled Cars Are Dumber. His video is linked down in the description below. Point is, automakers everywhere have been crossing the line on the features that they offer or take away in the vehicles that they produce, and I know that I'm definitely tired of it. First is subscriptions. Now, there is validity behind charging for full self-driving, Blue Cruise, autopilot, or whatever you want to call it from whatever automaker you prefer. While I don't like these automakers charging for this, I can see why they do it. But I'm not talking about autopilot, full self-driving, or any of those different types of software out there. What I'm talking about is even worse, and that is feature-based subscriptions. Toyota offers a Toyota Connect service package, which varies from $15 per month to $25 per month. And while this package does offer things like Wi-Fi, assisted steering, and live navigation, a feature that is also included with one of these $15 packages is remote start, which means that unless you pay $15 to $25 per month, you don't have remote start on your Toyota. Now, it used to be that you could pay $8 per month for this remote start feature, but Toyota in 2023 clumped some of these service-based features together into a package that is either $15 or $25 per month. And let's not forget that in recent years, remote start was actually a feature that was included in many new vehicles, certainly ones that cost $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, which many Toyotas do nowadays. But now this is a feature that you have to pay for per month. And the worst part is Toyota isn't the only automaker doing something like this. Audi also has a subscription model like this with a variety of plans to choose from, which also include basic features like remote lock and unlock. Volvo has a partnership with AT&T to offer plans once your 6-month free trial expires. Ford also has a variety of connected services, as do plenty of other automakers. And don't even get me started with in-vehicle, hardwired paid subscription features that some automakers have been experimenting with, like the disaster from BMW where they announced they were going to start charging a per-monthly subscription fee for heated seats, but after pushback, they quietly pulled back on this. Now, the good news is that I haven't heard quite the talk of paid subscription features like I did back in 2023. So I do think that consumers pushing back on this did send a message to automakers, because back a year ago, automakers were talking about adding subscription services for things like heated seats, high beams, and GM even talked about offering dozens and dozens of different features for their vehicles paid on a subscription basis. And you definitely aren't hearing about this as much as we once did, which is definitely a good sign. Next is the gear selector. Did anyone ask for gear selectors to be changed? And not only are gear selectors being updated and changed in what feels like a regular basis, but one personal gripe that I have is that gear selectors across different vehicles are different. For example, in my 2021 Model 3, the gear selector is by the steering wheel. But in the newer 2024 Model 3s, there isn't even a gear selector, and the car just detects what direction you want to go in. In some newer cars, it's a dial, and some it's a button, and some do have the classy gear shift even today in 2024. But why do automakers do this? And while I do recognize that there actually is sort of a thought and reason behind the gear shift, back in the day whenever you'd shift in and out of gear, it actually was manually shifting the car in and out of gear, and as cars have become more electronic-based, the need for a manual stick just isn't really necessary, so instead automakers started incorporating dials and buttons into the equation. But I do wish that there was some consistency across automakers. And I also know that I share the thoughts of many people out there, which is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And while the manual gear shift certainly wasn't necessary, I also don't think that it was broken, and I just don't know why they fixed it and replaced it with something that a lot of people don't like and in many cases don't really fit the vehicle that it's in. One of the biggest gripes with more modern cars is the screens and the fact that automakers are transitioning more and more into touchscreens instead of physical buttons. And this is a huge gripe across worldwide consumers with auto manufacturers. In fact, this is something that the EU has begun to crack down on, essentially saying that in order to get a 5-star safety rating, you have to have buttons. And while it may seem like touchscreens in vehicles is just a step to a more technologically advanced, intuitive experience with driving a car, similar to a touchscreen with a phone, the reality is touchscreens are significantly cheaper to produce than physical buttons, which is why automakers have gone into this direction of touchscreens in such an aggressive way, despite the fact that physical buttons are not only safer than touchscreens, but they are also preferred by the vast majority of car drivers. And the other frustration that many people have with touchscreens, just as cars have gotten more advanced, is the ability ability to work on the touchscreens or the cars themselves. With physical buttons or even old school radios, they are very, very easy to replace, and they can be done for around less than $100 depending on the car, and you can do it yourself after watching a few YouTube videos. But with the way that cars have really gone full send into tech, it makes it significantly harder to work on your own cars, and it makes it much more expensive to fix your car whenever it's broken. Even if it's something very simple like a lock or unlock switch, window switches, radio, things like that. It's just a lot more advanced, more expensive, and there's a lot more to it, which isn't always a good thing. In fact, this exact dilemma has come into question in recent years with how more advanced technology in cars have been affecting the right to repair law with the automotive industry. The right to repair law basically says that auto manufacturers have to make cars in a way in which allows for other people to work on the car. This allows for a car owner to be able to take your car to a third-party shop, to be able to hire a mobile mechanic, or even do the work yourself. You're not just stuck with the dealership and the auto manufacturer to fix your car for you. But as cars have become more complex, it can be more difficult to find a shop that's willing to work on your car, thus the whole right to repair is brought into question. And while as of right now, this issue hasn't really been resolved, and I could probably talk about this in a standalone video, it does bring up a lot of concerns with how technology is advancing in the modern everyday car, and it makes these cars significantly harder to repair. But hands down, probably my least favorite thing that automakers have done over the years is getting rid of things for really just the sake of getting rid of them. But we all know that what that really means is just getting rid of items for the sake of saving cost, like the spare tire. Less and less cars are coming with spare tires, and for a while they were getting replaced with repair kits for tires, but nowadays many cars just don't have either and they're just left with nothing. And when searching for why automakers get rid of spare tires, things like less weight, better fuel efficiency, cost, and cargo space are a few reasons why spare tires have gone away. But truthfully, these reasons are the worst. And as I mentioned a moment ago, in some cases automakers just replace the spare tire with a tire repair kit because it is lighter and it takes up less space. But the reason why this bothers me so much is that a spare tire and a tire repair kit aren't really the same. Because while tire repair kits or inflation kits are great for whenever a tire is simply low or has a slow leak, if you have a blowout, if your car has a major puncture and it's losing air extremely fast, if you need to straight up change your tire, a tire inflating kit isn't going to do anything for you. And sure, there is AAA and other towing services, but all of those cost money. So again, it isn't an adequate replacement to just a standard spare tire. But one of the most absurd replacements that I've seen in recent years has come from Tesla with their updated 2024 Model 3. And with this newest update, Tesla has gotten rid of the stalks next to the steering wheel, and this includes the turn signal. In fact, everything from the high beams to the turn signals to the windshield wipers are now on the steering wheel in the form of buttons, which I just hate. And another controversial decision from an automaker came from GM just last year when they announced that they would be getting rid of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay despite the fact that consumers like it. The point is, while change is absolutely necessary for innovation, and I absolutely do not expect for cars in 2024 to be the same as cars from the 90s or even the 2000s. But I can't help but feel frustrated with the changes that automakers are making. Because while it seems as though automakers are doing everything that they can to make necessary changes to their vehicles to help their bottom line, like taking away the spare tire, doing touch screens, even trying to make their cars stand out by taking away steering stock, I feel like they are ignoring the major elephant in the room, which is their prices. And I just wish that automakers put as much thought into lowering their prices and making their cars more affordable as they did on making these minuscule changes that really never needed to be done, and truthfully, consumers don't even really want. And I've got to admit that the decision from Tesla to take away their turn signals has to be one of the biggest snafus in automaker history. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming years, regulators force Tesla to bring it back, because I do think there is a valid argument that it is a real safety concern. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.